So today marks a new chapter in my journey of Craftoria, and today we are going to be going and getting started with the Industrialization Modernization. Wait, did I say that correctly? Today we're going to be diving into Modernization Industrialization, but don't run away yet. I'm going to try my best to get through the early parts of this today, while also exploring new ways that we can use applied energistics to help us automate this. And that means diving into some really cool new mechanics, for example, from Extended AE, allowing us to set up a ton of auto crafting patterns, and we're going to need them, especially with this mod having a ton of crafting patterns that is going to be needed. But we are going to be going about this a very interesting way. I want to passively produce everything. And this is kind of an idea that I don't typically use. Instead, what I like to do is have on-demand or on-request crafting. But for this mod, I feel that it is going to be more necessary to have everything just constantly being produced. All right, so now I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's actually find the place that we're going to set all of this up. Because as you can see behind me and in our base, well, there's not a lot of space here, I think, for this mod. So I had found actually the best spot for this a few episodes ago when we actually dived into the Starlight dimension. And if I travel here, there's a forge that we found that is in the Starlight Forest. And all you have to do is look for these little structures right here that you see in this dimension. And in these structures, if you go down into this, you will find this area. Now I have decorated it just a little bit by adding some simple lights into the whole setup, but this place right here is exactly what I was looking for. And so I've gone through and I've decorated just a little bit by adding some lights and closing off some areas and clearing out some pillars. And these rooms just generate in this world. Absolutely beautiful. And what a perfect place for setting up some automation. So in this, I have this direction right here, which has another one of these rooms that need to be cleared out. There's more space over here, another room that can be cleared out. And this whole direction going forward right here has another room as well. So this is like the perfect spot, and all of this branches off. Now my idea is in the back over here. What I want to do is I want to use this area to hook up the new applied energistics crafting setup. But wait, how are we going to handle and kind of set up cross-dimensional applied energistics? Well, thankfully we've already done that, kind of. We're going to have to utilize a very interesting mechanic that is a part of applied energistics. And we are going to be able to manipulate that just a little bit with Extended AE to make our life a little bit easier. But yes, I will say we are going to be dabbling a little bit into P2P networks, so bear with me. It's not that difficult. Now, first things first, we need to split a singularity. Oh boy. And we just need to toss a singularity down, toss an interpearl down, and well, blow it up. So this right here, boop, there we go, will give us 2 entangled singularities. And to be able to go cross-dimensional, the way that I'm going to be doing it is how you would typically do it within applied energistics, by using a quantum ring. So we've made a quantum ring and we use it to link our terminal, but now we're going to be using a quantum ring to go cross-dimensional. So this is one of the easiest ways to do this. I do recommend using a wireless connector. And so we have 2 wireless connectors, one right here and one here. This is going to give us the channels that we are going to need for this. And I just need to link them together. So I have my card here and a card up here. So this is now connected, and this is carrying 32 channels. Now, thankfully, all that the quantum ring needs is some power. So this needs power and will carry through it as if there is just like a portal. It doesn't cost a channel. It's just going to carry those channels straight through it. So let's grab our quantum ring, and we're going to need 2 sets of them. So you're going to need 16 quantum rings and 2 of the chambers, because these consist, when built like so, they consist of 8 each with a quantum link chamber in the middle, like that. And this is now up and running and now has the capacity of this wireless connector. And so this is actually the limitation of this. It's only going to be able to send what is currently going through here. And that's what we're going to have access to on the other side. So this is where getting into point-to-point, or not point-to-point, point-to-point networks is really going to shine. And yes, unfortunately, you cannot use the ME wireless connectors to go cross-dimensional. It's just not going to be feasible. However, we can use them on the other side, especially whenever we set up the point-to-point network. So now inside of this quantum chamber, I'm going to put my quantum entangled singularity in this one, and we just need to go to the starlight area and get ready to get this all set up. So without further ado, let's head to the starlight. And I think I'm going to place this honestly just right here in the center. I was debating on honestly placing it up here. We might place it on the ceiling. That could be kind of cool because we're not going to have a lot of cables that are actually connected right here. Well, we are going to have some cables, but not a lot. So let's get this placed. Beautiful. And then that inside. And once we're there, look at that. We now are carrying channels cross-dimensionally from our main network. So I crafted up some point-to-points or P2Ps, and we are going to be able to set this up. And I promise you that this will not be too complicated. So let's grab a cable, and we can just use regular cables for right now. No big deal. We can attach this. Remember, we have 32 channels that are coming into here. But back at the base, we have all of the sides of our controllers that give us channels. So a way that we can send channels to this dimension is by using a P2P, which is essentially going to act as a gateway or a portal, a wormhole that is going to interact with the side of the portal, or the side of the controller, I mean, and send that side of the controller right to this point, if that makes sense. So all I need to do now is link them. And the way you do that is with a memory card. You just shift right click. This will copy the configuration and also generate a configuration. And all we need to do is just go back, and we can go back to our main base and go back to our controller configuration. And I just need to run some cables through here and attach this point, for example, to the face here. And we can grab a cable. For this, I like to use regular flux. Doesn't really matter though. And this right here has nothing connected just yet, but it is going to cost one channel. And all I've got to do is right click this, boop. And this now is carrying 32 channels from that side of the controller to the other point that we have connected. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, it means that we can now use the wireless connector and carry that side of the controller wirelessly through our base. And we're only using one channel out of our total allotted 32. So this quantum ring essentially gives us 32 times 32 worth of channels. That's the potential, at least. And now by simply placing in this wireless connector, you can see it's booted because we actually do carry the power through them, which is very nice. And this is now attached to our controller at that position. It's pretty darn cool. And we can then link this and carry this anywhere we want around here, and now still be able to use our wireless connectors. And this connector is going to end up with 32 channels. So what I want to do with this is I want to use it in our crafting room in here. So right up top, I think I actually want to carry my cables up top. And so this is going to be kind of fun. Let me go ahead and get rid of this guy. Oh goodness. That is one bad part about this area, is figuring out how am I going to take these guys out, because they are a pain sometimes. There we go. But yes, I want to attach this to the top. And I think, like I said, I want to run the cables through the roof for right now. And I think this will look really, really good when we have all of these crafters that are going to be set up. So now for the fun part, where I kind of get to utilize something that is completely new. And that is the assembly matrix. Oh, this looks really, really cool. And we now have the stuff to be able to do it. Now, essentially what this is going to act as is it's going to act as like a large storage component, probably very reminiscent of AE1, where we can store patterns, and it's going to act as one channel, basically acting as our molecular assembler and pattern providers all combined into one. Now, the thing we're really going to need, though, is co-processing units. So we are going to have to set up some computers in this room as well, some regular ones, and probably some storages to house the crafts, but it shouldn't be too bad. Really, we just want the storage, and the thing that takes up the most space is molecular assemblers and the pattern providers all combined together. And it looks like it's basically made up of 3 parts and can be a maximum of a 7x7, I think. So we are going to need the assembly matrix cores, the assembly matrix craft cores, and the speed cores, which you can have up to 5 maximum inside of these setups. And by the way, each of these pattern cores will give you 36 pattern slots. So for every single one of them on the inside of this that you have, just think of that, 36 individual patterns. That's going to end up being a lot depending on how large we make these. So I'm beginning to craft up the multi-block here. And you can build this a 7x7x7, I would assume, being able to do it all in one block, but I kind of want to separate them out. I think it'll look a little bit nicer. It may not be the most efficient way to do this, but it's going to be pretty fast regardless. Now, I only have enough room in this size for 5 of them. So I've got to keep that in mind. The outsides are going to be this whole material. So these are the assembler matrix frames, and then we have the holes in the center. Now, the way this is stacked up is we put these in here. So each of these are going to do something different. The acceleration are going to make it faster. The assembler matrix cores are going to basically multiply the amount of a single craft that it can do per operation from what I was getting from this, and it tells me all of that right here. So you can see each crafting core can run 8 crafting jobs at the same time, which is pretty powerful. And then the 1 matrix pattern core, which is going to hold just as much as a single pattern provider. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes as we build this up, but I'm going to place these in the center. And you can see this is going to take up all of the space, and this is going to be like a really fast crafter, essentially. And then we also got to get those crafting cores so it can even utilize them, also placed in here as well. But the outside, I just need to get the holes in here. Now, once all of the holes are placed in, this should complete itself and become a full multi-block. I'm kind of excited to see what this looks like, because this is all new. This is all new extended AE stuff. Okay, hopefully I got this right. Put the last one here. And it did not form. Okay, so maybe I did something wrong. Oh, it does say device offline. Maybe it is actually formed, but we just got to run a cable to it to give it some power. So let's temporarily run a cable directly to this. And it does show up that it is a device. Aha! Now it's actually powered. Devices online. Oh, and we can access all of our crafting jobs. Oh, that's so cool. We can see everything, and we can stop the crafting jobs as well. So I'm assuming this is where we put the patterns. Can we access these patterns? Oh, we can. So there's the assembly matrix, and this is where we put the patterns, and it shows up right at the top. Ah, that's fantastic. Now, I'm not going to manually place all of these in. No, not by hand. Of course, I'm going to use the building gadget. So I've copied this, and I should now be able to just simply right click in here and I can paste them all in. Cool part in as well, you can actually see the material list. So that way you can do your multiples of how many you're going to put in here. For example, I took this value right here and I just multiplied it by 7 because that's how many more I was going to add in here. And now I can just simply paste them all in. And yes, I could have put this in one big multi-block, but I'm doing this for aesthetic reasons, right? Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's just maybe better, in my opinion, to make things look nicer than it is to have them functional. Yeah, I would just prefer to have these in here instead of just one giant multi-block in the middle. So with them all plugged in, they are looking beautiful. Oh man, and I should be able to see them all right here. So this whole thing right here is going to be one massive storage that should be able to craft things pretty fast. Now, we still need to get the controllers in, or the CPUs, and they are going to go right here. And I've already made the 256K, as of right now, crafting storage components, which are going to be sort of like the center point of all 4 of these. And I'm adding 4 more. We have 4 at the base. The 4 at the base can't hold very much, but I can always upgrade those as well. The rest of this is going to be crafting or co-processing units, right? So there's actually some add-ons that we can do with the co-processing units. I can go ahead and get a few of these crafted up, but it does look like we can take these and compress them and use them in here as well. So this would be like having 4 crafting accelerators. It says core crafting accelerators, but it's like 4 of these combined together, and I'm assuming with bigger AE, that's just how it works. So it's like having 4 of them in one block location. And yeah, that's 100% the case. So we can make these kind of compact. And these do add up. Oh my gosh, and they're harder to break. This is where the insta break would probably come into play. Like, I should probably put my insta break upgrade now that I've got the time crystals automated. Definitely setting that up. But yeah, it looks like these can be compressed even further, and the next tier would be 16 cores, and so on and so forth. So definitely worth getting these crafted up. I think that's going to be pretty nice. We can do like at least 16s for right now, and have like 2 sets of 16. That would give us 32 coprocessors per crafting storage here. Now this is beautiful. By the way, I decided to just go with one of these coprocessors from the bigger AE, because for some reason whenever you add 2 of them, the bottom one doesn't illuminate and appears to not want to connect, even though it does technically show up in here, but it no longer glows, and neither one of them actually glow. So I'd actually prefer to keep it looking like this. And what I ended up doing instead was just making 4 more of the 256K storages, and I now have those also in the overworld. So I've also done the same thing and took the other 16 that I was going to put on here, and I'm just running 16s on these, which is very crazy if you think about it, because these are the equivalent of placing down 16 individual coprocessors inside of one CPU. Now, what's crazy to think about is all of this right here is essentially using just a few channels. So one channel, one channel, one channel, one channel, one channel, one channel, one channel. That's it. These are one channels, one channel, one channel, one channel. So we have 8 on the outside and 4 in the middle. And that's how many total channels we are technically using here. Not a lot. And so for the potential crafting that we have available to us, it's just absolutely insane. And all of this is provided by Extended AE. And of course we have this, the bigger AE mod right here. And just, yeah, I don't know. These add-on mods really change and modify the way AE looks, feels, and plays. It's ridiculous. So this is absolutely crazy, and I know it's a little bit of a tangent from what I was working on, but this guy spawned in and is trading ancient knowledge fragments from iron spells for just some echo shards and emeralds. And I don't know if it's bugged out, but he's only consuming 1. I was able to pull out 8 of these. What? That's an entire enriched manuscript ready to go. I can learn another spell. What? I think I'm gonna go with Eldridge Blast. Like, oh, that sounds kind of devastating. I'll just craft this up real quick and then, you know, upgrade this to max tier. Oh boy. It does 17 damage in 7 blasts, 30 range. Okay, I'm really interested to see what this actually does. Let's go ahead and remove our bear. Rip polar bear. But instead we'll take this, and now we have Eldridge Blast. Let's go ahead and actually charge this up. And I mean, what could possibly go wrong, right? Like, surely this is not anything crazy, right? Oh, it's like a shotgun, but it recharges. Oh, it does like recharge. We get 7 constant blasts that we can use. Oh, we definitely got to test this out on some mobs, right? For example, like these dirty Endermen. Oh, that's so good. It is straight up just a like a shotgun. Oh, that's another really cool spell. I mean, in reality, there's only one really good use for this, and that is, at this moment, to just do this. Goodbye. That's so powerful feeling. Like, it feels ridiculously powerful with all of the sounds. Oh, but you have to do it kind of rapidly, otherwise you have to wait for the spell to fully cool down. Oh my goodness, the rapid fire. Now, with all of that fun out of the way, I think it's now time to start dabbling a little bit in modernization and industrialization, and start becoming filled with frustration, because honestly, in my experience, that's where this mod has led me to, but it should be a little bit easier in this pack considering we do have Applied Energistics unlocked. And last time I used this mod, I did not have Applied Energistics at my disposal, nor did I really have any helpful mods outside of the mod itself. So this is actually going to be pretty good. And we have things like functional storage, which should allow us to automate things quite easily. So now to really get started with this, if we open up our quest, they do have a really nice guide set up, and we've already technically got steel made. However, that doesn't really mean that we have all of this full and ready to go, because there are Bronze Age materials. Now we can definitely make bronze with this mod right here. So with Mekanism, and I think I want to get this set up. But the first thing we are going to need is the poor man's compressor, which is the forge. Not too bad to make the forge. I don't know if the forge itself takes durability, but it does have the ability to craft more than one. I don't know why you would want to craft more than one with like steel and plates, but we can go ahead and add that to our recipe planner here. And this is another thing where this mod really plays a huge role. And when I say this mod, I mean EMI, because EMI has the ability to build those trees that I've mentioned in the past. And while it's not super useful if you have things like, I don't know, Applied Energistics, it can be useful if you're just pulling out of chests, as it can show you all of the individual items needed. So there we go. Is this a forge mod? I get it. Get it? Forge? Anyways, so let's make a hammer. And I believe we can make diamond hammers right off the bat, or maybe not. These require plates, these require compressors. Okay, so we can't make the diamond hammer right off the bat, but can we make these? Okay, these require iron sheets. They require iron. So, okay, what tool do we even use to get started? Oh, thankfully we get a hammer. Well, that's kind of nice. Can I do diamonds then with said hammer in here? I cannot, but I can do iron. Wonder how you would even get started in this mod if you didn't already have the iron to make iron plates. I honestly have no idea. By the way, this is the only downside with being in this dimension. These guys right here can spawn. And I don't know why they spawn. I'm pretty sure I've removed just about every possible way for them to spawn. So now my first sort of thing that I want to get done, since it does seem like kind of a pain to make these hammers, is definitely get a few hammers backed up and in stock. Yeah, especially if these are going to really consume these hammers right away and we can't make a diamond one. Now, the first initial way of how apparently we would be able to get bronze is by crushing up the ore of tin and copper and putting them together, and you could do this with the forge hammer. In my case, I'm actually going to automate it with Mekanism. So I just realized, by the way, after getting all of that set up, that, oh yeah, you can also put this in here without having the hammer. However, I do believe that it is more cost effective to have the hammer. So they do kind of give it to you here. If you take a look now, this still gives you 1-to-1. Wow. So I can just craft that, right? Is that still 1? Yeah, it's just 1. Without the hammer, it's still 1. Okay. So yeah, it's just, you don't even need the hammer. I mean, with us having unlimited resources, a lot of these things we don't really need hammers for. But I did take a look. We are going to need quite a few machines to kind of just get started. And my goal is to have these machines, and of course you can upgrade them as you go. We have steam to start with, and we have to use that as a power source. But all of these materials that you see right here, we're going to have to do by hand. So making all the copper bolts, I got to do them by hand. And it's probably going to be better to have the double compressed, because doing one, I mean, actually, no, this is generally the same. So I guess we could do it without a hammer for some of these recipes. And I just need to make a back supply of these, including like bronze and bronze gears. Looks like a little bit of everything from copper. So I'm going to get some of that crafted up. And one of the first things that we need to get set up is steam production. So yes, we need steam. So I've now got a few boilers crafted up and ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and place like 3 of them down for right now. Now, I think I can store steam inside of Applied Energistics, but I think I'm going to kind of resort to not doing that for right now. We'll see how it goes. But the main thing we need to send into here is fuel, and we're also going to need to send water. And our exporters should have the ability to do that. I'm just going to need to grab some cables from Applied Energistics. Beautiful. Man, how many times do I say Applied Energistics? Probably a lot. I'm probably going to be saying it quite a bit here as well. But yes, this all connected up. And then water in all of these. Typically you would use like a water pump, but I think that this can supply water. Yes. So this is the beauty of having AE with this mod. It honestly is going to make it a little bit nicer. Now, why are we diving into modernization, industrialization? Well, there is some things in here, for example, like the cobble cell, an infinite water cell. These require stainless steel from this mod. But not only to mention that, there's actually a ton of really crazy high-end gear that you can get only through this mod. Like a sword that can just deliver infinite damage, as if we really have anything to fight. But it's still a fun thing to kind of just go through and kind of learn. And this pack is going to be a really good kind of mod pack to really put a lot of effort, I think, into learning this GregTech-like mod. Now, to produce steam, these also need a fuel source. For example, coal is a great option. Or if you have a infinite supply of the lignite coal, a lignite coal, this stuff right here, that's also another good option. So we can go ahead and use that too. We're generating infinite amounts of these resources, so it's not a huge deal in this regard. We can also set this to round robin mode. I typically like to do this. To save channels, we're going to be doing some other things. But for right now, this is just to simply produce steam that you see right here. Now, this particular mod is all about crafting. You are going to be doing so much crafting. And that's actually what I'm working on right now, is a bunch of crafting. The goal here, though, at least with these basic tiers, is to get all of these individual components that are used in these crafts crafted in some way other than by manually doing it. So eventually we're going to have a cutting machine and we'll have a little bit of lubricant that we can make. So that way we can make these bolts. And then we also need copper rods. Well, to make copper rods, we're going to need a cutting machine with lubricant. So yeah, lubricant's going to be a must get sort of thing. And then a cutting machine is also going to be a must get sort of thing. And to be able to get lubricant, it looks like there's a couple of different ways. We have a mixer, which looks like it needs wax. Or a centrifuge, which we don't have access to a centrifuge, but we will have access to the mixer, and a mixer is going to need creosote, this mod right here, this item right here, and we get that from throwing coal into a coke oven. So yeah, we're gonna have to make a coke oven, it looks like. Now, thankfully, these quests do lead you in a really good direction. So it does mention the coke oven right here and shows all of the individual parts that you're gonna need. And I'm sure it mentions it somewhere in the quests here, but from my experience of using this mod in the past, if you just have the wrench in your offhand from this mod, whenever you go to place these multi-blocks, it'll actually display the outline whenever you place the initial block. For example, the coke oven itself. So beautiful. I have Coca-Cola. Yeah, no, but I should be able to place this down. And notice, by the way, when placing it down, it does display this outline. Now, I think I have to place this one block higher to truly see the actual outline. Yes. There it is. So the coke oven, I believe the main input face is right here. And then we can place the hatches that we need on any sort of side. So for example, we are going to need a fluid input hatch. By the way, fluid is going to be the steam. So we can place that right here. And then we have a fluid output hatch, which is something we're going to have to worry about. And that is a returned output right there. And then we can have an item input and an item output hatch. I typically like to have the left side be an input. So input on the left and output on the right. And we just need enough room so we can place in some importers or exporters if need be from Applied Energistics. And then the rest of this just simply gets filled in. Now, even though I have this, I don't have all of the other infrastructure that I'm going to need to fulfill this multi-block. But once we have all of the multi-block components in here, it will fully complete. And we'll know that it's done because you'll see shape valid, status active. So we need to technically feed in steam into this slot right here. So that's where that's going to go. Any residual output like creosote will come from the fluid output hatch. And then our inputs over here, which is nicely highlighted orange, the input right here is going to be for like our coal, and then the output will be for if there was any byproduct out of this. So just kind of, these are common things that I'm going to be going over at the beginning, but probably not going to be going over as much of this sort of stuff. as I get further into this mod. It just will be absolutely impossible to just show everything. So now for the fun part, and that is getting a basic understanding of how the pipes work. The pipes are pretty cool from this. You have item and fluid pipes. They can actually exist in the same space, similar to Ender IO pipes if you've ever played with those, but they can be very finicky. So look how small these are. This is my biggest complaint with these pipes, and it's how absolutely tiny they are. But to be able to get these to connect, I can just simply right click here and that then connects. But notice the arrow is pointing in. This means it's default in input. But you can actually get by with this by shift right clicking, or sorry, not shift right clicking. I think it's just right clicking. No, it is shift right clicking. But you're supposed to be able to shift right click to get them connected to this. Doesn't seem like that's actively working right now. But you can right click here and then you can right click again to change it into an output. And you'll notice this is filling with steam, and I should be able to connect this. Oh man, so many shoulds. So many shoulds. It's always been kind of that way with this. It's still a learning experience for me, but last time I used them, they were kind of janky there. Yeah, so yes, I guess just run a line, and we're going to run a line through the back here, might as well, and we're going to run that into the input on this. Now, this is not connecting to the input hatch, and is that because this doesn't require steam? I'm almost positive this requires steam, but it may not actually. We'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and connect here. If not, we're still going to have other machines that are going to be connected through here anyways. No, I'm almost positive this will connect. It just doesn't auto connect. So there we go. So now we have the steam in here. Beautiful. Status active. And then in the input hatch, we can put the coal, and now it's going to start. And it does use a little bit of that power. Each one of these produces 8 EU worth of power, technically. So that's what they say that they output. So right now we don't have a whole lot of power to power a bunch of machines, but we can always expand on this in the future. For right now, this is going to get the job done. And so now's the time to reveal the big part of how I'm going to automate all of this. And that is going to involve functional storage. So I have pretty big plans to use functional storage in all of this, to not only save channels on the import, but to be able to use this in autocrafts down the road. So what I'm going to do is these machines are essentially going to be producing in a consistent amount of resources that are then going to feed into the functional storage network. So all I need is a configuration tool, and I need a few barrels. So for example, functional storage here, I can make a fluid drawer, right? And I need creosote. That's one of the things I'm going to need. So I should be able to have creosote connected right here, and I can use like a puller upgrade if we make one. So there we go, like a puller upgrade. And I can have the puller upgrade pull from the west. So we can set this to west. And because everything is fluid based, the creosote is built up in here. So I can now actually have our controller connected here, and by utilizing a storage bus, I can access every single drawer that we'll have connected to a machine. And thankfully, these machines can auto eject into things. So all we have to worry about is sending items in, and then they just will go and fill into a barrel. And these are just pretty simple concept. I mean, these are very simple concepts. For example, right here, we'll just make sure to have this on a high priority. And yeah, we'll have it connected up. There's nothing connected to this drawer network just yet, but we will have it in the future. And for right now, we can see if the range will reach over here. By default, I don't think the range is going to reach. Let's see. No. So we just need a few upgrade cards. And later on down the road, like netherite cards do produce a ton of stuff. But for now, we'll just go with diamond. That should be more than enough range. You can, of course, if you don't remember, hold down shift and right click, and you can upgrade the range directly in here. Oh, this is going to be so nice. And this room, this whole room now is completely filled and ready to go. So we have creosote in here, which means now we should be able to see creosote built up from the modernization mod, right? At least I hope so. Let me see. Oh, wait, we have to add this to the drawer. So there we go. So now it's added. And now if I can spell creosote. Modernization, industrialization. Do I see it in here? I do not see it just yet. Oh, I didn't fully add it. There we go. Now it's linked to the drawer controller. Ah, and there it is. There's the creosote. And so now we can actually use this to pipe around with exporters. Like, this was all intended. Like, this is how I want to do this mod. Now, later on down the road, it may be better for me to not use exporters, but instead use, like, interfaces and place an interface near where a bunch of machines are and just choose and individually choose and pipe into those locations using the interface, which I also think is a pretty good idea. But I'm just kind of running ideas through my head right now. Like, nothing is in practice yet, but this right here just needs to be coal. So I can go ahead and send coal here, and we can macerate this down the road too if I want to. But we just need to make sure that we keep creosote filled in. So now with this system in place, I can start to make some lube. That's right, we can make a lubricant. And what we need is to now send some of that creosote that we're generating. And we also need redstone. And we send this into a mixer. And both of these items should be able to go into the same slot. The redstone has not been sent yet. Make sure that's sent to scheduling. And I don't know if I have to set this in a particular way. Oh, but there it goes. Okay. And you can see right here, we're now producing lubricant. And if I set this to auto eject, click to enable, then it should eject the lubricant. I've just got to figure out how do I choose where it ejects to. That is actually a good question that I do not know. Okay, it does look like it's trying to send back here. I think the blue is an input, right? Okay. So yeah, that side right there is technically the output. So can I specify that specifically going down to the bottom? How do I do that? There we go, shift right click. Okay, so I shift right clicked onto the bottom. And so now with that enabled, and I put that down, aha, it's going down. Okay, perfect. So I'm figuring this out slowly but surely. It does take a little bit of time to learn. And then once we have this in here, I'm just gonna lock this drawer because this is the only thing that this machine should be doing. Should just be taking the creosote that's being generated over here and just simply turning it into lubricant that, remember, we can use later on. So yes, it does have a huge use over here. I want to be able to get all of the basic components sort of passively generated. Now, I think the one other thing that I want to get done today, outside of just producing lube, is to, well, take our coke that we're generating and send that into a macerator. And then I want the macerator to auto output. So shift right click on the output bottom down here. And then I can set this to auto output. And that is now sending the coke dust down here, which we are going to need later on down the progression line. If I remember correctly, making synthetic oil and all kinds of other fun stuff to make rubber, to be able to cover our components. This is going to be a big part of that. But the fact that we got lubricant is going to be so nice. And believe me, you don't use a whole lot of lubricant when you're making the components with the machines, the cutters. But having these cutting machines and being able to use them to make all kinds of different components is going to be absolutely important to this progression. So now, what an episode. There is a lot of new things that are starting to happen in this world, and so much so that we've moved into a different dimension. But I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments below, especially if you've made it this far. I would love some of your tips and tricks. If you have gone through this mod and you're very familiar with it, keep in mind, I don't know a whole lot about this mod. I have barely touched it in the past. And so if you have any awesome tips, let me know down in the comments below. I love reading you guys' tips. So with that being said, guys, click that subscribe button if you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new. And definitely give this video a huge thumbs up. I really, really do appreciate that. And with that being said, I think it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that, my friends, is going to be a huge thanks that's going out to Mans. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. Thank you so very much. Guys, be sure to check out the Discord yourself if you haven't already, and or check me out over on Twitch. Give me a good old follow over there, twitch.tv/ChosenArchitect. If you enjoy the factory style games, Minecraft, and all that fun stuff, I do tend to play all kinds of goodies over there, so definitely be sure to check that out. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!